Hi, welcome back to the Lead Today show. I am really fired up today. So let's just jump right in. I had a mom today ask me via text, basically, like, what's your take on vaccines? And it just stirred me right up because this podcast is about self leadership. I've had people, because there's been such a wide variety of guests and topics that I cover, sometimes people will even ask me, they're like, so what is your podcast about? Like, I don't, and I've thought about, rebranding the name and like, especially heading into this motherhood phase, like, oh, do I need to change the name? No, today, at least for today, I'm so reinvigorated, reminded of why this show is called Lead Today. It's called Lead Today because it's about self leadership, and self leadership means taking ownership over your decisions, and that's all decisions. And so this decision is no different, just because it's been sensationalized over the past few years and there's a lot of public discourse about it, does not change the private discussion, or at least how I would approach the decision, because it's how I approach every decision, which is you have to start from yourself. And the biggest thing I think is, and I've seen this is probably a whole other episode, but in these mom groups, mom communities, there's so much comparing, and it's good because community is good, and so, but we have to be careful with comparing. So comparing notes, there's information and then there's influence. And that's what I really want to get across today. Information is good. Hey, what have you done with your child? What's working for you? What do you like? What don't you like? As information, not what should I do, or asking someone what they think because you don't know and you want them to tell you, right? Influence. I think influence is such a dangerous word well, in general, but in mom groups, right? Because what are the other person's motives? Well, what I'm finding, sorry, what I'm finding most specifically in these mom groups is it's about, often, not always, but it's often about convincing you to their side. Whatever that is, it can be about pacifiers, diapers, food choices, vaccines, it can be about anything. And I just truly think any of those decisions are first and foremost with you as the mother, as the one that birthed the child. That decision's with you. And so if you choose to have a pediatrician, the pediatrician you choose and you go to does not force you to do anything. That language, that I've heard that discussion, like, oh, the doctor forced me. The doctor does not force you. Okay? Yes, and if it's a medical emergency where you're in an ambulance unconscious, in a hospital, literally unconscious, first of all, I really hope you've all, because I did this and it was something that wasn't even on my radar, but appoint a medical power of attorney. So in a situation where you are unconscious, somebody that you trust is there and can relay your wishes. And so they should know your stance on all of these things for yourself. So that's number one. Number two, yes, you cannot control absolutely everything. If you are in a scenario where you, right, like there's a true emergency scenario, you may not be in control. But when you're conscious, when you are scheduling an appointment with a professional, when you choose that professional, doesn't matter if you have, public, private healthcare, you can choose the professional you go to. There are multiple options. And so I think we really need to take ownership of our decisions. And I know, like, I already am saying it and I feel preachy, but I feel preachy about this. Like, it's so clear to me, and I feel so much and I have been in the position of being the person asking for the advice, being the person that's like, I don't know. And again, there's a difference between information gathering. I think it's important, but if you feel unstable, if you feel like you're on unsure footing, you need to really go inward. I was going to say internal, but inward, introspect on this. And whether that's through prayer, meditation, your process for introspection, that's how you make these decisions. You get information from the outside world, you research, you speak to professionals, and then you go inward and you say, what's right for my child? And every child that you have might be different. What your friends do is going to be justified by them. So if you ask them, often you're going to get them trying to just influence you so that you do what they did, because that's what they chose, right? So it's not that they're right and you're wrong or vice versa. It's that they have a set of values, they have a set of principles, and that's why they've done what they've done. Is it important to get that data, gather that data? 1000% gather that data. Yes, absolutely. Why did you do that? Right? Like, absolutely, getting different points of view is fantastic. Should you go ask a stranger that? Well, I don't know, maybe not about vaccines. It depends, right? It can be a touchy subject these days, and it's controversial, and really, another parent is not going to have the answers for you. They don't know your kid as well as you. Again, there are experts that you can draw upon, but if this is a trusted friend, if this is somebody that you look up to, respect, then absolutely, hey, what's your take? Okay, so I appreciate someone asking me that, and at the same time, I don't have an answer for them, because I am not, in the sense, so I have an answer. My answer is exactly what I'm telling you. My answer is, you need to get really clear on what your philosophy is, right? And that goes for everything: breastfeeding, daycare or childcare, diapers, food. It's so interesting having these discussions, and people really feel judged one way or the other. And there's no, I'm not here to tell anyone the right answer. No one truly is, right? I mean, okay, there are experts that have done research on, let's say, childcare options or vaccines or food choices, right? So there are people that study this extensively, and you can take or leave their conclusions that they've made, right, based on the work they do. And then there are anecdotes, right? Like, there are people that tell you their story, they're influencers online. I just think we really need to be mindful of how much we're being influenced versus how much we're taking things in as information. So information or influence. And regarding the medical world, I've actually spoken about this in a previous episode about, what was it called? Don't know. It's about essentially medical decision making. So there is a previous episode on that. We'll get that for you. But what I really loved is I got this acronym from a midwife, and I think it was during pregnancy, labor, and birth. But frankly, there are lots of decisions to be made during that time. So if you're in that season, it's a great acronym. But really, over the course of your life and for your kids, I just think it's a great framework to think about any sort of decision making. Not even just medical, anything. So brain, it's called brain. B, benefits. What are the benefits? For me, for the baby, for whoever's involved. Risks, what are the risks? And anybody in any scenario, whether they're selling you a car, they're selling you diapers, no matter what they're trying to convince you of, even if it's another parent, we do this, we really love this, we feed them this, we do this. Okay, great. There are always risks. And so anyone that can't speak to the risks of something they're pushing, and maybe they're not pushing, something they're passionate about, if they can't speak to the risks, then I don't think they've thought it through clearly. Because everything has risks. Every single thing, right? And hopefully, right, you make a decision because the benefits outweigh the risks. That's generally speaking how we do things, right? So, but if somebody that is talking to you about a subject can't tell you the risks associated with what they're suggesting you do, then they haven't thought it through. Alternatives, can we try something different instead? And the answer is, of course, yes, you can. There are alternatives to everything. And there are alternatives to diapers, to food, to vaccines. There are alternatives. What are they? There are even alternative vaccines. There are alternative vaccine schedules. There are options. And again, if somebody that's talking with you about anything does not give you the alternatives, right? Whether it's alternative schedule, alternative options, they are not giving you the full picture. That's somebody I would question, because there are always alternatives, there are always benefits, and there are always risks. Next, intuition. Some say also information or indications. What does your gut say? Okay, trust your instincts. Do you need more information? If you still have questions, ask them. right? Are there any indications, like for your particular child, your particular situation, are there any indications, right? Every single medical insert for any drug or product, right? And not just vaccines, it's like there are contraindications, contra, against, reasons why you should not do something, right? So you should ask, like, and the doctor in that scenario should know your child well enough to know if there are any contraindications. And you should also know, which means you're not just going and getting, I think this is another thing, right, we've talked about, is it really an emergency scenario? And oftentimes it's not. And if it's not an emergency scenario, then you can go get that information, take it with you, do your research. What is being proposed to me? Again, this transcends vaccines. Vaccine is just a buzzword, right? Vaccine, like it's just a buzzword. This is about anything. Insert anything here, any topic. The answer is get the information, go home, do your research, do your intuition gathering, do that internal dialogue, that introspection, and then go forward. You know what I mean? Like anybody that makes you feel like something's an emergency when it's not, that's also somebody that I would be questioning. Why are you pushing me today? Right? That's like, why are you pushing me to buy the car today? These are big decisions. And if it's a big decision, you know, and somebody that has your best interests at heart does not want to be a pushy salesman about it. So there's no reason to be pushy. If you do it tomorrow and it's not an emergency, it will be okay, right? So discern, is this an emergency or not? And I think that takes us to the last point, which is nothing or next. So what happens if you do nothing, right? And if you do go forward with whatever that intervention is, what happens next? If it doesn't work, what happens next? And so when any medical intervention is suggested, you generally, as I said, have ample time to get this information. If it's an emergency, you're going to know, right? You're going to be in an emergency room. There are going to be doctors all around you, and things are going to be moving very quickly and decisively. So if that's not the case in your situation, then there's time. So you can do nothing in this exact moment, right? Because somebody that has your best interests at heart, somebody that has your child's best interests at heart, wants you to consider the information, isn't going to push you, and is going to want you to come back when you're ready with the decision that you've made for your child, right? So first of all, you got to trust your doctor. If you have a doctor for your child, a pediatrician, you need to trust that person's guidance. Because if you don't, or you can't have a dialogue with that person, then that's not the right pediatrician for you. So you might even roll it back a step and say, I'm not liking what I'm hearing here. I need another input. I need another person's take. And that's totally okay. Right? So I think it's like people get these broad, like, are you yes or no to this broad category? Listen, you can't be yes or no to a whole category. That's just, first of all, having black and white thinking and just ridiculous. Like, you need to be, hey, have you researched all of your options? Have you researched all the steps? If you're somebody that's just a yes person, I mean, this show isn't for you. I'm not for you, because you haven't done your due diligence, right? If you just say yes without doing research, you can do your research and then say yes to everything. We're cool. We're not cool if you just take everything and you have a victim mentality, you have a they're in control mentality, and you're not owning the decision. So whether you say yes to all, no to all, middle ground, delayed, whatever you're saying about vaccines, I'm not judging, okay? I am judging the internal dialogue as a coach, as myself, because the regret is the problem. Don't say no to everything but then regret it. Don't say yes to everything and then regret it, or question yourself. Be centered, be grounded and clear on your decision. And if you're not yet, sleep on it again. Take another day. Postpone the appointment. Ask more questions. Get to a place where you feel good about it. And if somebody's pressuring you, they're not the right person for you, because you will go to a great doctor that will answer every single question you have, and you'll feel amazing about the choice that you're making. So if somebody's making you not feel good about a choice, that's a problem. And not good in the sense that not everything is easy and good and lighthearted. No, I mean, when I say good, I mean centered, grounded, assured, confident about that choice. And if you don't feel confident about that choice, you can do nothing. So I love that acronym. It's from a previous episode, but I feel like, you know what? I need to remind myself of it too, because it's just so good for any decision making. Brain, benefits, risks, alternatives, intuition, information or indications, and nothing or next. Benefits, risks, alternative, intuition, nothing. So, I got that off my chest. That was really getting to me today. I don't know. It's a topic that just gets people going, and it's like, why do you need to know about my kid for you to make a choice about your kid? I just don't understand. I mean, again, there's something triggering for people, I think, about vaccines in particular, but it's a deeper seated thing of like, you're the mother and you can gather information, but then make your pick without feeling like you want to be swayed. Sometimes we also seek out, I definitely know this tendency, I've done it before myself, like you seek out people that you know will agree with you in a sense, because you just want that affirmation, that confirmation that you did the right thing, and that means you're not on sure footing, right? Like I've done that. Oh, what do you think? And you kind of go to the friend that you know agrees with you, just so that you feel better about your choice. But then if that's the case, if that's what you're doing, then I would question what part of you is still unsure about this. What part of you feels unsteady? What part of you are quieting? And there's a previous episode I've done on internal family systems that's really important, I think, in motherhood, because we have parts of ourselves and, we shy away. We quiet the parts of ourselves that make us uncomfortable. We quiet the parts that are less confident. We quiet the parts that are unacceptable, quote unquote, the shadow side of ourselves that society doesn't accept, or we think society won't accept. I mean, I'm done with it, like the nice girl that just doesn't say anything untoward. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like, I'm beyond that age bracket where I need to be doing that anymore. Just like I'm beyond the age bracket of spending time with people that just don't make sense. I am just don't have time for that. So your time, your child, your decision making is so valuable. And the best way that I know how, based on my training, based on my life experience and my take, is you need to get confident about the choice that you're making. And so, yes, look into the external world for the guidance that you deem appropriate. But then before any decision is made, go inward and really be firmly planted, rooted, and even better is a deeper step of knowing your standards of integrity and or values. Some people, depends what word you like. I really like standards of integrity, because then okay, integrity means something strong, right? Like if the foundation is stable. If it's not, then there's no integrity. It'll break, it'll snap. And so if you're making decisions through your standards of integrity, you're stable, you're strong, you're rooted. And that's what you want. And I know that because there's so many times and so many situations that I can think of where I was off kilter, I was off balance, I wasn't operating from my standards of integrity, and I came to regret those decisions. I was unsure while I was making the decision. I felt awful before, during, after making the choice, because I just wasn't within myself. And it's because I didn't take enough time to think through, what is it that I actually believe? What is it that I know is right? What is it that I have come to believe? I let other people influence me. I allowed myself to be swayed, and then I just felt bad. It's like that impulse buy, but just times 1,000, depending on, the decision we're talking about. So whether we're talking diapers or cars or food choices or whatever you're doing for your child, end of the day, you need to be rooted, because then when someone else comes up to you on the playground and says something, you feel great about what you're doing. Like I actually had a mom come up to me today on the playground. That's what I'm thinking about it. Another mom came up to me and it's like, oh yeah, when are you, like, oh, how old's your baby? Oh, okay. When are you going back to work soon? And innocent question, no problem. Like, it's not a bad question. But right away I said, yeah, no, I'm I'm self-employed and doing it my way. And you could just see the reaction. And she said, "Oh, good for you," and kind of walked off. And so, maybe I wasn't her cup of tea. Fair enough. I am absolutely not everybody's cup of tea. I'm okay with that. I don't think I'm supposed to be. Neither are you. We're not supposed to be everybody's favorite person. We're just supposed to be ourselves. We're supposed to be real about it. And then I think the people that resonate show up and the people that don't go. And that's just what it is. It's okay. It doesn't mean I'm better than the people that don't like me. It just means I'm different. And that would have been a moment. I've had some other moms tell me, like that could have been a moment where it would have been sort of shaky, like, "Oh yeah, I'm going back, but I really don't want to," or, "Oh yeah, not looking forward to it," or, like you see a lot of moms that really struggle with going back. They don't want to go back at that time. They don't want to go back full time. They don't want to go back at all. Like there's these, or some that are, off, and it's like, "Oh, I can't wait to go back." And so I think when someone else asks us that question and we feel triggered by it, it's because, again, there's part of us that is not consolidated. It's not in our integrity. We are not operating from our rooted, grounded place because something's unsure. There's unsure footing, or else someone's question wouldn't throw us off. She asked me, I answered. That's what I'm doing. And I feel amazing about it. There is no question in my mind. This is the number one job for me right now. No question. But there are other things that I can think of where I wasn't that sure, and I had to get sure. So it's okay to not be sure all the time. Nobody is. I'm certainly not. But on those foundational life decisions, marriage, kids, values, the big things of how you're operating your life, and even small choices, like daily choices, food choices, how you move through your day, the way you set up your day. Is it stressful all the time? You have autonomy and choice in that. And so back to, okay, why did I start this podcast? To remind myself, most importantly, every time I record, to remind myself of what self-leadership is like. What is it like to lead myself? What does it mean when I am leading from a place of integrity? So that hopefully the more I can do that and share about it, the more you can do that. Because I certainly don't do it perfectly. But I think the more I can share about the ways that I'm getting that sure footing, that groundedness, that resolve, it's inner resolve. The more I feel that inner resolve, and anyone that knows me, like me, if you're listening to this show, right? It's like I seem self-assured. I've been told so many times, like, "Oh, but you just seem like you have it together. You seem confident." Yeah, that's because of this exact episode, the whole thing. I go through this process with myself so that I am 100% sure that my most important work right now is being with my kid. But that's me. Other people could say my most important work right now is, X, Y, Z. So just the resolve, that confident tone, that almost, sometimes people think I'm pushy or fine. But that comes from I am sure in myself on this. And when I'm not, you can tell. And when you're not, you can tell. You can tell when you're not sure about something, when you're not on sure footing, you can feel it. And that's when you're kind of shaky, asking all these other people. You feel anxious, you feel nervous. So get a sense. What's your vibe? What are you feeling? Are you on stable ground? Are you on sure footing? Or are you feeling wobbly? Because making a decision about your kid's health is not one to make while you feel wobbly. So information versus influence, inner resolve, introspection. And I really hope that you make these choices for your family from that place with the support of trusted people around you. Hopefully this answered the question, what's my take? Because that's my take. And you don't need to tell anybody about your kid and their medical status. So that's just maybe even a conversation for another day. You need to support your friends and the people asking you things like that with resources on how do they make the best choice for their kid and their family, because that's what it's about. Their kid's body and what their kid's body needs. So I wish you and your kids and your families and your friends the best of health, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Take very good care until then.